Shout out to Kev. Kev got 1,000 white shirts. Nigga is like a cartoon character.
Nah, that nigga is my goat.
In July of 2020, I quit gambling for good. It was an important step in my development that year, and I wanted to make it a point of emphasis in order to start taking my life more seriously. I was 24 at the time. It was the pandemic, and I had just helped a startup sell for $18 million 5 months prior. And I just committed to going to law school after deferring my acceptance for 2 years in hopes of becoming the next great tech founder. I was an ambitious 24-year-old. Life was good. I had no reason to stop gambling or not gamble at all. I had disposable income for the first time in my adult life. And on top of that, I was good at gambling. I had a net positive earning on DraftKings Pro Line and the 3 annual fantasy football leagues I was a part of. The thing is, I noticed that I had a gambling problem when I was on a morning walk. And my first reaction when I opened my phone was to open the Google Podcast app and start listening to Against All Odds from the Ringer Podcast Network, which is a gambling podcast, if you don't know. Which, looking back at it, the fact that I would dedicate listening to a gambling podcast at least twice a week, the first thing in the morning, is insane. Every time I placed a bet, especially when I won, that rush of dopamine was exhilarating. That's why I actually don't judge people for gambling. I get it. At the time, I thought that my time could be better suited for other things other than gambling. One thing I do want to emphasize in this video is that the way the average person or the average gambling guru that is selling picks gambles is completely different than how a professional gambler gambles. Okay. Professional gamblers rarely bet on vibes. We bet on vibes. Okay. They bet on near guarantees and cheap odds with high payouts, meaning the barrier to entry is very low and the payout is super high. Think of a $5 bet that could potentially turn into $10,000 if it hits. A perfect example of this is Malcolm Brogdon or Michael Carter Williams winning Rookie of the Year. That's the type of bet a professional gambler will make. On top of that, professional gamblers are often funded by someone called a staker, which is a fancy way of saying an investor who supplies additional bankroll for a professional gambler. The thing is, these funds aren't just used to make bets, they are used to hedge bets, whether that's ethically or unethically. So, going back to Michael Carter Williams, at the time, the obvious bet was to bet on Victor Oladipo to win Rookie of the Year. With the funds from a staker, you would bet on Oladipo and hedge your potential losses with the field. And once Michael Carter Williams became the betting favorite, you would further hedge your bet by investing directly into Michael Carter Williams. You would double dip with the field and with Michael Carter Williams. Because I know the average person does not look at betting this way, I think it's incredibly stupid to bet large amounts of your personal money on gambling. In order to hedge any bet, you need quite a bit of money to protect your losses. So it's not even something that the average person can do. Not to mention, the average person does not hedge their bets. It's one thing if you make a $20 to $100 bet here and there. But in my opinion, if the average person bets hundreds or even thousands of dollars on any type of sports bet, it's incredibly reckless. In my adult life, I have seen gambling ruin people's lives and relationships. So you have to be incredibly careful with how you bet. Back in 2024, when I had finished articling, I worked in investor protection and I was tasked with doing legal research on the average retail investor's allocation to their personal investment accounts. So think of ETFs, mutual funds, and single stock investments. During my research, I came across a research called Sports Betting's Impact on Vulnerable Households. And I'm not going to bore you with the intricacies of the research, but they found that sports betting, one, reduces household savings and investment contributions, which means you probably are not preparing yourself for retirement. The second thing is it produces approximately $2 less in net investments for every dollar deposited into sports books. The third thing they found was an increased credit card balance and reduced available credit, which means you can't buy that car that you really want or that house that you need to upgrade to. And then the last thing that they found, it causes severe financial effects amongst households already experiences low savings and overdraft. So it'll make you even more poor if you are poor. With that being said, I don't hate gambling. I think it can play a semi healthy role in the ecosystem that we call life. I do want people to be more careful with how they gamble their money because at the end of the day, you can't protect yourself the same way a professional gambler can. And on top of that, you can't benefit from point shaving like some unethical professional athletes have. With that being said, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of A Thousand White Shirts. I'm your host, Kevin. If you're interested in today's video, you might be interested in yesterday's video where I discussed ESPN's firing of Ryan Clark.
Kev got 1,000 white shirts.